guys, it's Ro. Welcome back to my channel and happy spoopy season. It is fall, it's October, my favorite time of the year because I love Halloween. Many of you know my favorite movie in the entire world is Hocus Pocus, and this year Hocus Pocus 2 is coming out, and I thought, I've got to make a themed treat. So today, that's exactly what we're going to do. And also, I have a little treat. Today, I have a special guest pop in to say hi.
Hi.
Look, everybody, it's Greg Aronowitz. We've been friends for years, and we've made many videos together, done many projects together over the years. I'll put a link down below to some of the fun projects that we worked on. Greg worked on the original Hocus Pocus movie.
I made costumes for the other kids that were in the party for the big party scene towards the end.
Oh my gosh.
It was so much fun to work on the movie, but it ended up being one of my favorite movies. So I know it's one of your favorite movies.
I know, same.
So I
We're
thought I would
twins.
bring you a gift.
Greg, what is it?
I made this
The spell book?
The spell book.
Oh my gosh, the eyeball. Look at this. You guys, it moves just like the movie. Greg, you made this?
I did. Just sculpted it in clay and made a mold and then cast it in urethane resin and put an eyeball in it. But I have a challenge for you.
Okay.
I want you to make one.
I don't know how that works. I don't know if I could do this.
Well, you know what they say, use what you know. So
Yeah.
make one in cake.
Let's get started. Today, we are gonna start by making our cake batter. The cake that we're making today is gonna be a pumpkin spiced cake with real pumpkin puree. I'm so excited. One of the reasons I love this recipe, and I think you'll like it too, is it has all fall flavors and it's really easy to make. I'm gonna be posting all of the ingredients and their measurements in the description down below, so if you wanna follow along at home, you can. We're gonna start with our dry ingredients. In a large mixing bowl, we've got our flour, and then we're gonna add our salt and baking powder. Last but not least, pumpkin pie spice. Then grab your whisk and whisk together till well combined. You wanna whisk until everything is the same color. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. Oh! In a large mixing bowl, add brown sugar, regular granulated sugar, pumpkin puree. It adds moisture, color, and taste. Melted butter, and 2 eggs. And we're gonna whisk together until everything is well combined. Take your dry ingredients, add it to your wet ingredients. I like to add half at a time. Whisk together and have a spatula handy to scrape down the sides as needed. With this cake, you don't wanna overmix, so as soon as the flour disappears and you can't see it anymore, stop mixing. Then add the second half and mix it up one more time. The batter is looking perfect. I poured it into a greased and lined with a piece of parchment paper half sheet pan, and now I'm going to take an offset spatula and smooth it flat. Here's the goal. This is what you're going for. Nice and smooth. Now heat your oven to 350 degrees and bake for about 15 minutes. While our cake is baking, we're going to make our cream cheese spice frosting. This recipe is to die for. First step to making this frosting is you're gonna use cream cheese and butter. You want your butter to be room temperature. The cream cheese is also room temperature. So we're gonna cream together our butter and cream cheese in a large mixing bowl. Just mix together until light and fluffy. We're gonna add a little bit of cinnamon, vanilla extract, and a little pinch of salt. Then mix together once again. Last but not least, we're gonna add our powdered sugar. I like to add it in increments because powdered sugar is really light and fluffy, and you don't want to get a poof, a big dust cloud when you're mixing. So I'm just going to add a little bit, mix it up, a little bit more, mix it up, a little bit more, mix it up. Just keep mixing till it's all incorporated. This is looking good. I'm going to take a little taste, make sure we're on the right track. Oh, we're good. All right, this is looking good, and now I'm just gonna scoop it into a piping bag. After your cakes are baked, give them plenty of time to cool and pop them in the freezer. And then once they're frozen, you can easily cut them into rectangle shapes. In front of me, I have a 12-inch cake board, which I'm gonna be stacking my cakes on. Next to me, I have 2 icings. One is just a regular buttercream icing, and the other is our delicious cream cheese cinnamon frosting. For flavor. flavor. I'm gonna start assembling with a little bit of the regular buttercream. I'm just gonna put a little dollop on the board for the cake to stick. Over here, I've cut 3 rectangles out of my half sheet pan, and there's only some little scraps left. But what I really love about this is you can get everything about the perfect size. You wanna line it up in the middle of your cake board, put that together. Whenever you're making a custom cake, you could do a little bit of MacGyvering. I like it, it's creative. Now using your American buttercream, we're gonna pipe an outline around the cake. Then, once you've piped the little fence, you can fill it in with the yummy stuff. Then using an offset spatula, just smooth it out. Once iced, we're gonna add the second cake layer. Now ice this layer the same way we did before. Pipe a border all the way around, then fill it in with the yummy stuff. Once your cake is assembled, I'm gonna do a quick crumb coat. I'm doing so with the American buttercream icing. It doesn't need to be perfect. We're just gonna pipe some zigzags on the side and smooth it out with a spatula. All right, our book cake is looking good. I piped all the icing on top, smoothed it out, and I put another coat. Then on this back side, the 4th side, I took a spatula and just wiped away that icing to make it look a little bit more rounded, because this side is gonna be where the book binding starts. Once iced, we're gonna pop the cake in the refrigerator to chill for 1 hour. After your cake has chilled, it is time for my favorite part. It is time to decorate. We're gonna start with the pages. To make the pages, we are using fondant. In front of me, I've rolled out the fondant, cut it into 3 rectangle shapes for each side of the cake. This was super easy to do. You just wanna measure how tall your cake is, so I used a little ruler and then cut out my strips accordingly. And it's okay if your strips are a little bit longer, and I'll show you why. All right, now I'm gonna pick up my fondant. It is soft, so what you wanna do is line it up at the bottom, and you want it to overhang on each side. And as you can see, it's got a little overhang. So on the overhang, I'm just gonna point them forward a little bit, just bend them very slightly, gently. I'm not tearing anything off. Pick up another piece. Same thing, so I'm gonna line up this side, then press these 2 together. To create a really cool book edge or corner, we're gonna be using fondant smoothers, or sometimes I call these fondant flatteners. We're just gonna be pressing the 2 sides together. Remember, don't pull forward. We don't want it to tear off. You just want to push together, like almost like pinching. This corner is now looking good. We're gonna do the same thing to the other side. Now we've got fondant on the 3 sides of the cake, and with a small sharp cutting knife and a ruler, we're gonna make some pages. Be careful, don't get your fingers. Just put a little bit of pressure and whoop, just like that. And remember, you're not cutting all the way through the fondant, you're just making an indent. Then you can use the lines that you've created with the ruler and freehand in between. It kind of gives you a nice little guide. We've got all the page lines now made on the 3 sides of the book. It looks awesome. And we're gonna add a little bit of color so that the book looks a little distressed, a little aged. Basically, we're gonna dirty it up. And I really love this technique, especially if you're not used to airbrushing. You can just use a little bit of cocoa powder and a small brush. Now we just finished creating the pages of the book, and now we're gonna create the cover of the book. To do so, I'm using fondant again, but this one is gonna be a brown color. It's a little darker, and I've mixed in a bunch of Tylose powder because for the book cover, we want the fondant to be more stiff but still flexible. Now I'm gonna roll it out into a large rectangle shape. All right. Once you've got your fondant rolled out, we're gonna add a little bit of texture. This part is really cool, and this is a great way to add texture. It's just crumpled aluminum foil, you guys. I just grabbed a piece from my kitchen, and you're just gonna place it on top of the fondant, and then with a little flattener, just gonna push it down. Poop, 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 just like this. How cool, look at this. You're just gonna do this over the whole top of the piece of fondant. Oh, this really looks like old skin. I let the fondant sit out for about 10 minutes to stiffen, and then I cut out a big square. Next up, we're gonna pick up our fondant and place it on top of the book. Little tip here, we want it to overhang on all 3 sides, just a little bit. And then, in the back, gently get it to connect, press it in, Look at that, that's beautiful. Now just cut off the excess fondant with a sharp cutting knife. Check this out, it's starting to look like a book. Looks pretty cool, but we've got to add a few more details. So in the same color brown fondant, I've cut these strips. Each one is 1/4 inch thick. These strips are going to look like the back cover of the book. Take a little paintbrush, dip it in a little bit of water. This is going to be adhesive to help your fondant stick to fondant. And we're just going to paint right here. At the bottom, at the corner, we're gonna cut off the excess fondant with this diagonal cut. Now we're gonna do the same thing on the other two sides. Now that our cake is really starting to look like a book, we're gonna add some very creepy, spooky details, like the fingers that are on the spine of the book. In front of me, I've rolled out this little fondant log, and then I'm cutting them about this long. You're gonna take one of the cuts, roll, and smooth the top. Then we're going to use this tool to create a fingernail impression. Then using a sharp cutting knife, you just put a few little cuts to look like where the finger bends. Then at the end, I'm just going to flatten it a little bit. All right, Greg, what do you think? Here, catch, check it out.
Oh, it is really good though, actually.
All right, Greg is giving me the thumbs up, so now let's put these on the cake. Take a small paintbrush, dip it in some water. I've put some lines on the side of the book so you can see the spacing. We're just gonna paint with a little bit of water and start with our first creepy finger. Oh my gosh, it looks so creepy. Then do this with the rest of your fingers. Got all the little fingers on the spine of the book, and now we're gonna make the iconic coiled snake designs on the front of the book. Over here, I have some already made, and I'm just gonna show you how I put them together. And to get these little pieces, I just used a large cookie cutter. You just cut it out, boop, and then you can cut it into 4s. Now here, I've just rolled out the fondant. I'm gonna position the snake on top of this little piece. Put like so. Then you're gonna take this end. We're gonna do a little loop like that, but then you're gonna bring this middle part just on top. Boop, like that. And then on this side, we're just gonna drag it around, make another loop, and then this is gonna go underneath the head and underneath the back. Beautiful. Then using a small sharp cutting knife, I'm gonna cut off the excess because this is a little bit too long. With your finger, press down to flatten, and you're just gonna tuck this piece underneath right here. Then I'm gonna press down right here where the snake head would be, and again, cut off the excess. To make the head of the snake, you want to use a really small ball of fondant. It's very little, it's about the size of my thumbnail. And you're gonna roll it into a circle and then squeeze on the sides, boop, 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 like so, making the face a little bit more narrow. Then we're gonna take this really cool fondant tool and put some pressure right down the middle. Take your fingers and pinch in again. Put 2 little nostrils. You can use whatever you have in the kitchen, like a little toothpick, and 2 holes on the side for the eyeballs. Once you got this little shape, then you're gonna roll very, very, very small. The smallest little ball that you can roll, this is it. Take your snake head and a small brush, a little bit of water at the end, and just tap, tap into each eye socket. And take the fondant, that really small ball, and place it inside. Look at that, awesome. Once you got your snake head, take a little bit more water and attach. Once attached, you can take this tool again and we're gonna poke little holes to give it some definition all over. Our snakes are looking good, and now it's time to paint them with a little bit of silver. Now take a paintbrush, dip, wipe, and paint over the whole thing. And do this to both pieces. On to some more metal details. Next, I'm gonna show you how I made the clasp for the book. So you're gonna take some gray fondant, just like the snakes, same color. You're just gonna squish the gray fondant flat. You can roll it out nice and flat and use 2 cookie cutters, one larger, one smaller, and you cut out the circle with the larger. Use the smaller for the inside, and you get this great ring, and then you kind of shape it to be a little bit more oval versus circular. Use your sharp cutting knife to make lines all the way around. You just press down gently. You don't want to press it all the way through the fondant, just to get a little line on top. Use this tool again to add some holes, or if you don't have a tool like this, you can use a toothpick. And using the same color fondant, I rolled it out flat and cut out some squares and little rectangles, these little shapes right here. I got this little indent by using the ball tool, and we're going to take this piece and using a little bit of water, you just attach it. And this little piece, we're gonna put some lines in it with a sharp cutting knife. 3 lines, or 2 lines, 3 little sections. Boop, boop. Then once you've made the clasp, paint silver just like we did with the snakes, and it should look like this right here. Look at this. Oh, that's ready to go. Do I look like the book? And I had so much fun making the little strap that holds the book together. It is basically a braid. You just roll out 3 ropes of fondant and braid just like you would your hair. And just squish it a little flat. And this one's just a couple inches tall. In front of me, I have a bunch of the metal silver decorations that we'll need. And I've made an additional snake to sit by the spine of the book. Even easier to make than these weird wonky pretzel snakes. Just a rolled out log, same snake head, and then on a thin rectangle. We want this book to look 300 years old. To do so, we're gonna use some black petal dust. So you're gonna dip your brush in here. Make sure your pieces are completely dry before you do this. And then, boop, boop, boop. Just hit the whole thing, just like this. We want some beat up metal. Same with our snake. This is looking good. Do the same thing to your other metal pieces. Now it's time to make the eyeball. I have 4 different colors of fondant in front of me. There's black, this beautiful gray blue color. Then we've got some white fondant and the brown. So to make it, you can just use a little 1/2 teaspoon. Just want to make sure it's a circle shape. Put a little bit of cornstarch in there so it doesn't stick. Then I'm going to take the white fondant, I'm going to pack it in there, and then pop it out. Just like that. You're gonna get a great shape and you're gonna let it harden a little bit, dry a little bit. To make the details of the eye, you're gonna roll out your black fondant and your gray blue fondant, roll them flat, and use these tips, the top of the tip, not the bottom, to get these cute little circles right here. Take your small paintbrush, dip in a little bit of water, put a little bit on the top of your eyeball right in the center. We want the color of the eyeball right in the middle. We're gonna take the blue piece first, place it on top, then take it again, put a little dot right in the middle for the black circle. There you go, you creepy little eye. Then to create the eyelid around the eye, you're gonna roll out your brown fondant, use a small circle cookie cutter, cut out the shape like so, and then you're gonna cut and cut some additional cuts to make these little pieces. And using this tool, you just press into the fondant to make some lines and creases so it looks like wrinkly skin. And I'm just gonna wet the back of these pieces for the top and the bottom and stick it on. Ooh, and voila, one spooky spellbook eye. A really cool detail on the spooky book is the snakes. It's almost like they've bit the book, and you can see right here like it's pulling the skin. So to get that look, we're gonna be using a little bit more of brown fondant. This is really easy. So we're gonna roll little pieces like small logs. They're little baby logs. Roll a little baby log, taper the ends, make it a little bit skinnier. Then take a little paintbrush, dip in water, and I've kind of outlined where the snake piece that we made is gonna go. And then in front of it, put some lines. I'm gonna paint water. Get it to stick, and you place it down, flatten just a little bit. Then using this tool, we're gonna smooth the sides so it looks like it's connected. That looks perfect. Now we're gonna do the same thing, add a bunch of them, about 5 on the top, 5 on the bottom. We've got all these details on the cake, looks like pulled skin. Now, for the next decoration, we're gonna be putting this all over the top of the cake and around the fingers. To get this look, we're gonna use an extruder. So you just put a bunch of fondant in there. I've got the brown fondant, and as you can see, it's already starting to come out. And then you twist. This is so cool. If you don't have one of these, you can roll out a really small, long log. That's okay too. All right, that's looking good. Just cut, boop. Now, to get the look that we're going for, you're gonna fold it in half and pinch together. The only thing you wanna keep is the crease in the middle. You're gonna make a bunch of these and you're gonna attach them to the cake with a little bit of water. I've sketched some light lines on the top of the book to kind of give me a guide of where I want to stick these. And it's okay if any pieces are too long, just cut right on top of the book. Just be gentle, you don't want to press down too hard. This is looking good. Just use your fingers to lightly blend the sides, press it down. Then just keep doing this to the rest of your seams, all over the top of the book and around each finger. Once you've got all the details on the top of the cake, we're gonna pipe some stitches. In a piping bag with a number 1 tip. This is the smallest tip that they make, just for a little bit more control. This is so fun. You can do this really quickly. You just do 1 line right over the top. Just like that. And now we're gonna use this icing to attach all of the beautiful fondant pieces that we've made. I'm gonna pipe a little bit on the back. To attach it to the cake, I'm gonna use this same icing that I used before. Push this in place, nice. And then do this for the rest of your pieces. You guys, there's only 2 decoration steps left and then we are done with this spellbook cake. I am so excited. And the next step was introduced to me by my friend Timbo. He's an amazing cake creator and decorator. This is Confectioners glaze. This is a really cool thing to add to cakes, anything that needs like a wet texture. And you're just gonna paint over the eyeball, just the eyeball. I am so excited for this part because basically we take this little paintbrush and we dirty it up. We really make this book look aged. Make it look like it's been through it. In front of me, I've got 3 different colors. We've got the black petal dust, we've got the dark brown cocoa powder, and then in the middle, this is a mix of both. Ta-da! Here is the Hocus Pocus spellbook cake. What do you think, Greg? So you've been hanging out while I've been decorating all day. How'd I do?
I mean, it's amazing.
It's got the
perfect.
same details. I was hoping you'd be proud. Now yours is like a real book, like a movie prop, and mine's a cake.
Yours tastes better.
Mine does taste better. We got a big snake slithering down the spine. We've got the little like snakes on the side. I've got an eyeball with this cool like metal thing, the little clasp around it.
Fingers.
Ooh, yeah. I think it's one of the creepiest details of this prop, like of the spell book, is the fingers on the binding.
Absolutely.
You want to cut into it? You want to slice?
Absolutely.
Oh,
but
okay.
not the finger side, though.
Okay, promise. Okay, I'm gonna go cut us a slice.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. It's so good, you guys.
Tastes like Halloween.
Yes, yes it does. I'm just gonna eat this cake while watching the new movie. Again, you guys, a big thanks to Greg. I'm gonna be posting all of his links down below. Go check out his channel, his socials. He has so many projects of beautiful things that he's made over the years. And I'm gonna put a link to a bunch of the videos that we've made together. All right, that does it for the video. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe, it's free, and ring the bell to receive notifications every time I post a new video. Bye, everybody, and remember, it's all just a bunch of hocus pocus. Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!